So I watched Ex Machina, thought I might just do a review of it. Honestly, this is a movie I might have skipped out on even watching if I haven't already seen so many great, amazing reviews. It seems like everybody who talks about this says it's the best movie they've ever seen, or at least the best movie of like the year, or in whatever. So typically with movies, I don't like to know what's going on when I go into the movie. I just want to be a complete blank slate, just judge the movie by what it is, and not watch anything about it beforehand, like barely even knowing what it's about. I don't really get into doing watching a whole lot of trailers. Honestly, Suicide Squad, which I just talked about, Suicide Squad's about the only movies that I've been keeping up with their trailers. I've been pretty much watched all of those. So most everything else, I might watch the first like teaser trailers. After that, I try to avoid them at all costs. This movie, though, like I said, I didn't really see any trailers, but I did watch several reviews that people have posted on it, and so I kind of had a rough idea of what the movie was about. Not exactly, but a bit more than typical for me. So this movie is a big like sci-fi mystery thriller. So just gonna go through some of the things that I thought of, my thoughts and questions and everything um, during this movie. And so the first thing that I thought of when at the very beginning when he's sitting at the laptop and you see all the cameras and everything and you see him looking at his face and analyzing his face and all this, I was like, this movie's gonna make me not want to do a YouTube video anymore, isn't it? Which I guess obviously isn't the case since I'm doing the YouTube video on that movie now. But anyway, that was my thought then. So one big question kind of came up was: is Ava actually a human, like a person that's in a robot suit that's trying to like fool him into like thinking she's a robot, and that's part of the test? Obviously, I guess that's false. Spoilers, by the way. This whole review is gonna be spoiler full, so just to let you know. Um, Another question was: is this movie supposed to be a love story with a robot and some dude? And yes, it kind of was actually, and get to that in a little bit. But another big point is Nathan keeps talking about how AI is going to take over the world and it's going to be the downfall of humanity is artificial intelligence, and like that's the next step, and humanity's got to like disappear. And like why are you doing this? Like if that's what you believe, okay, but why do you have to be the one to initiate it? If that's what you think is going to happen, is AI is going to eventually take over the world and kill all of humanity, then why are you trying to invent that artificial intelligence? It kind of makes no sense. And they do address it. Caleb tells him, he's like, I have become death, destroyer of worlds, which is, the big Oppenheimer quote. And they have a conversation about it, but it still doesn't make sense. You're a psychopath at that point if that is what you think you are doing. Another big question for me, kind of towards the end of the movie, was why is Nathan only giving Caleb 1 week here? I get the whole like thing of him supposedly winning some prize to get to hang out with him and stuff, but he already works for his company, and why couldn't he just give him a position as his like sidekick or what? Not sidekick, but like his second person in command here at this lab, and like why couldn't that just be his position from now on? I guess by the end of the movie is a mute point anyway, but I don't know, it just kind of was like, oh, you're gonna be here for a week, you're gonna see all my classified stuff and help me test it, but only for 1 week. One thing that I actually did call and get correct fairly early on in the movie is Kyoko. Kyoko is an artificial intelligence, and I'd seen that coming, and it's one of the first things I'm kind of proud of because I never really get to be the one that calls things in movies necessarily, but she turned out to actually be an AI and not just the servant of the house. I know those weren't like huge plot points and plot questions exactly necessarily, but those were kind of the things that stuck out to me. and stuff that not necessarily even got answered. But overall, it was a great movie. I might have watched it with too critical of an eye because of having watched so many reviews on it and going into it expectations too high, maybe, because I don't like to do that. It's why I don't really like watching trailers and all that stuff. But like I said, it was overall a great movie. That being said, one critique that I do have of it is that I feel like they misrepresented the Turing test, and I'm not an expert on Turing test, but I feel like they kind of did a misrepresentation of it. My understanding of what a Turing test is you have two options. You're interacting with a human on the one hand and the computer like software like on the other hand, and you have to decide which one is a machine. And if you choose incorrectly, then the machine passes and is considered an artificial intelligence. That's my understanding of what a Turing test is. In this movie, they didn't exactly do that. They only give him one option. They only give him Ava as like the one he interacted with, and she was obviously a machine already. And like she looked like a machine. He was just standing there having a conversation. And I do get the point of him like interacting with her and trying to like decipher whether or not it was consciousness and all this. But that's not exactly what a Turing test is, in my opinion, or my understanding of a Turing test. They really have this perfect opportunity to do a real Turing test, or what I think of as a real Turing test, at least, with Kyoko, or like the servant girl. That's what I thought they were doing. Like I said earlier, I predicted that she was going to be an AI, but what I thought they were going to do is reveal at the end that she was an AI all along, and that he had been interacting with her the whole week like she was a human. And so she would end up passing simply because he never realized that he was interacting with a machine the entire week, and she was just going to be his servant. And that's what I thought they were going to do. So I do like the story that they played, but I thought they had this perfect opportunity there to do a real Turing test, or like I said, what I would think of being as a real Turing test. It just didn't pan out that way. They could have still kept the whole thriller aspect of Ava escaping and like Kyoko helping her, and all of that still being in there after they revealed, Kyoko being a robot, or, after Nathan tells him that she is a robot and that she is actually the one who was his test the whole time. And they could have still escaped. Ava could have still left him there after he fell in love with her. That's being the whole love story aspect I thought was funny. He fell in love with her, but she was just using him as a means of escape the whole time. And it was just kind of funny to me. Like I said, overall, it is a great movie. I just have that one tiny, tiny little thing that I kind of got hung up on, I guess. For me, wasn't a tiny thing. But overall, again, a great movie. It keeps you guessing the whole time, then second guessing what you guessed the first time, and you just don't really know what's going on a lot of the time. At one point, you have no clue who is actually human and who might actually be an artificial intelligent robot. And it's crazy. Don't really know what's happening for half the movie or most of the movie.